Hey, what's good, y'all? It's C Will, and this is the Passive Income Network. On this podcast, we talk about creating assets that produce passive income. On this episode, we have a special podcast feature with Charvel, the CEO of WAYRU. It is a decentralized internet network, internet service provider with distributed ownership for the urban developing world. Own a piece of the internet powered by Algorand. This is gonna be dope. So let's bring our guest on in. Yo,
Hi,
what's good? How's it going, bro?
it's awesome. How you doing? Nice to
I'm
see you
good.
again.
Yes, it's a pleasure, man. Been waiting for this one as well. Definitely an interesting project that has real world utility, and that's what it's about over here. Well, so
Awesome.
let's get started. So, who is Charvel? And let's break that down for the audience and some background of who you are, and I guess your background as a professional.
All right. So my name is Charly. I am CEO and founder at WAYRU. I'm 35 years old. I
Hey.
have been, yeah, I'm 35 years old,
Yeah, I'm
believe it or
32.
not. Yeah, so I have been an entrepreneur my whole life. I have dedicated last 10 years of my life to build startups around telecommunications, trying to solve the lack of internet access in emerging countries, specifically in Latin America. I am from Ecuador, born and raised. Then I went to school here in Miami, where I am right now. And I started going back and forth between Ecuador and Miami, where I saw these lots of needs down there, technology wise, connectivity wise, which it's an opportunity for any entrepreneur. So I pursued that. Um, I developed the first Wi-Fi marketing platform in Latin America back in 2012. After that, what I did, I worked as a regional Wi-Fi marketing director for a multinational company where I led teams in 6 countries, and we connected shy of 50 million people
Wow.
with that platform that I previously developed. That was a couple of years. Then I realized that we were connecting people that actually didn't actually needed the internet. This was more focused on businesses to be able to get data from their incoming users, like restaurants or
Mhm.
retail. They wanted to know who was visiting their stores, but the need was actually a lot bigger.
Yes.
So after that, my previous startup from the one I'm doing now, it was aimed to help businesses at the bottom of the pyramid to make money by sharing their Wi-Fi, because these small businesses, they couldn't afford paying for a Wi-Fi marketing platform, but they did have internet in their premises, so they needed an easy and affordable and profitable way to share that with their users or with their instant community. These are people that usually do everything they shop, they do in these small convenience stores around their neighborhoods in Latin America. So this product was super successful. It was doing great until COVID, because all these stores had to close. And then what I did, I tried to reach out to large providers and small providers in Latin America and say, hey, I have this platform. Maybe we can work together. We can use every single device that you have out there today, and
Yep.
we can use this platform, open a new SSID, which is a Wi-Fi network. When you see the name of a Wi-Fi network, that's the SSID, is the name of the
Okay.
Wi-Fi. And everybody who connects to that network was going to make them some revenue. And after a couple of months of debating about it with them, trying to get them to get on board, they decided not to do it because, and I quote, we are not focused on connecting more people to the internet, but we're focused on bringing new technologies to our current clientele. So they are basically upselling their premium clients more stuff, which is okay,
Yeah. You gotta
but
make your
that,
money.
yeah, they gotta make their money, but that leaves a great gap to be filled, and that's where we
Yep.
came in. And then I realized that there was so many people disconnected today due to various reasons. Maybe it was either too expensive where they live, or
Yep.
maybe it was they just didn't have the availability of the connectivity where they live. So when I talk to these other providers, they usually don't go and expand their networks because the capex problem is super high, and then that's for the big providers. And the small
Mhm.
providers have the same problem, but on top of that, they have the problem that the marketing efforts are not good enough competing against the big brothers, right?
Yes.
Against the big telco in those countries. So they're just cannibalizing against the small providers, and then the big providers, like, they're getting their way, right? They're getting everything for
So
them.
same game, right?
So yeah, so it's an insane game. So And just for the record, people might think that there's just a couple of providers in every country. The reality is that there's a monopoly of a couple of providers, an oligopoly of a couple of providers managing the whole telecom sector. But about 30 to 40% of the market share, it's being provided by small providers. So in Ecuador, for example, where I'm from,
Yep.
how many internet providers do you think there are
Let me
in
guess.
Ecuador?
3.
It's just okay. There's over
I'm
850.
like, no, I'm thinking, well, 3 large ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
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 there's
they're all small then.
yeah. So the idea is to well, when I was interviewing them, they said it's very hard to expand. So our idea is to not just allow anybody in the community to build their own networks in the future, but to onboard all these small providers to become this one large network,
Yep.
decentralized 100% because it's going to be operated by different actors, right? But for the final user, they're just being able to connect anywhere that they go.
Okay.
So yeah,
So
that's kind of
so
the premise.
so you essentially are then organizing these 800 providers so that way that more people can have access to the internet.
So that's going to be that's farther ahead on our roadmap, and we
Okay.
call that the Federation of ISPs. What we are
Okay.
doing today,
Yeah, let's break
what we're
that down.
doing to,
Let's go in.
right. So what we're doing today, we started roughly 9 months ago. It was just me and a landing page. I got selected to an accelerator in Puerto Rico called Parallel 18, and then Paula, she's my co-founder, she
Yep.
came on board as well. And then a couple months later, Edward, who is my CTO today, he came on board as well, and we got selected to the Algorand Miami Accelerator then. Now, when we did this, thanks to these two accelerators, now we have deployed our first internet node, and we have deployed our platform on the testnet. So what we're doing today, we are deploying the nodes ourselves, and we're going to continue to do that during this year. And we're working on something called Node Operators Program. And there's different types of operators, but the idea is to allow anybody to get a off-the-shelf device, configure
Yep.
that device, and expand our coverage, expand our network. And for providing that connectivity, they will be rewarded in our tokens. So the first step is us becoming the first internet nodes, because this is chicken and egg problem. If you don't have a network, you don't have users. If you don't have users, nobody's going to want to deploy a network. So what
Exactly.
we're going to do, we're going to deploy the first networks to get the first users, and then we get that ball rolling. So then we will allow anybody else to tap into the network, create their own node to provide connectivity in their own town or neighborhood. And that's when we start expanding the network. After we get to that second step, which is node operators onboarding, we're going to go to the third step, which is the Federation of ISPs. And
Okay.
that's when we are going to go to the small providers and say, hey, instead of fighting against other small providers, why don't you just become an operator for WAYRU, and we'll onboard the users, we'll do the marketing, we'll do that part of the business, and
The heavy
they
lifting.
solely focus, and they will focus solely on the operations of the network, which is their forte, right? Because
Yep.
most of these small providers are telecom engineers that they didn't get a job in a big company, so they opened their small company. So there's hundreds of thousands of these engineers trying
All
to
entrepreneurs.
create, small entrepreneurs. So we are going to help them be more profitable and reach more people while being part of a massive decentralized network. So at the end of the day, there's no centralized entity managing the internet that we use every day.
Okay. Yeah. Let's talk more about that. So this internet again, because I'm thinking of Nigeria. At one point last year, they got their Twitter banned, so they had to use a lot of people were using VPNs and things of that nature. With WAYRU, would they have to use VPNs? I'm asking. So it will be a fully decentralized where there will be no blocking. They can use whatever they need to use on the internet. Is that kind of
Yeah.
where we're going?
So So the VPN is something that will be added on farther ahead as
Okay.
well. So we are going to add that as a service as well. But what we can promise as a provider is that we are not going to have access to your personal information that like other providers do, and they make profit out of
Mhm.
your information, right? By selling that to companies that are basically going to target you with ads.
Yes.
So that's something that is not going to happen in this case. But in every country, there will be some type of regulations, right?
Yep.
So what we are trying to avoid is centralized private companies to own infrastructures and to own the accessibility to the internet for people. So us as private companies won't be able to ban that. No.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking about the technology more right now because I know we got this agenda, but
Yeah.
we're flowing, so we got to keep flowing. I do know a lot of cable wires, right? They go underground in the ocean, and then they have
Right.
towers and things of that nature for spreading the Wi-Fi. I remember we talked before, so that means you are tapping into the existing infrastructure as well that's around, if I'm correct there.
Yeah. So what has been done around the world, there's like a consensus on how to bring connectivity to every country.
Yes.
So these submarine fiber cables that you talk about,
Yep.
this is how most of the countries are connected to the
Continent to
internet.
continent.
And the internet is basically a big server with content that people tap in and add content and download content, and that's basically it. The thing is, how do you get to that content,
Yep.
right? So when these submarine cables get into Ecuador, for example, there's something some actors call the national or international carriers. What they do is they buy in bulk the internet access for that specific country, and then there are small providers that buy from these international or national carriers to then distribute to the final users.
So
So
like
what we will be
AT&T is kind of like higher up, and then it keeps getting distributed down, basically.
Yes, and there's probably somebody, yeah, for example, in Ecuador, there's a couple of major providers, but there's a couple of them that are above them because they're the ones that bring the cable to
Mhm.
Ecuador.
Yep.
So, for example, when you go satellite, you don't need cables. It's direct connectivity from the satellite provider to the home, or in some cases that like we could do, we could partner with a satellite company. They can provide us in bulk anywhere in the world, and then we
Yep.
will distribute in the ground. So it's basically the same scenario. What happens with the submarine cable? It goes to the country, and then it gets distributed amongst smaller providers, which are the ones that distribute connectivity to the final users.
Okay.
And there's so many steps from getting into the country into the final user, and everybody's making money on the
Yep.
way,
Yep. Yeah.
and
Taxing on
everything's
the way
basically
down.
centralized. Yeah, so it's super expensive for the final user. So what we want to do, we want to bring bulk prices to the final user. So we're going to bring down the average price of the gigabyte in Latin America from $3 down to 25 cents. Like
Okay.
that's the plan.
Oh, that's fire. Okay. Then one would think, what is your revenue model? How does WAYRU make money if we're keeping these prices so low? That's
Yeah.
always the question.
So yeah. So what we do, as I said, we are bringing the price down because we are getting rid of all the middlemen
Mhm.
between the wholesaler and the final user. That's one. The other one is that when we buy internet in bulk, the cost comes extremely low.
Mhm.
And the way we are deploying the first networks is that we are going to acquire small ongoing operations, and we're going to combine all the bandwidth that they are getting from the national carriers to bring the cost down. That's how the largest providers get the better prices so that they can make more profit. And if
Yep.
we have 10,000 small providers, each one buying a small amount of bandwidth, it's going to be more expensive for each one of them. So if we bring all that together and we buy as one from the wholesalers, it's going to be a lot cheaper.
Yep.
Then we solve the
Makes sense.
capex problem because we are not looking to recuperate the money from the initial investments. That's why the decentralized structure comes in place, because we as WAYRU, we do not need to charge more to recuperate that money, because we're not the ones deploying the network, but the node operators. And the node operators are going to be paid in WAYRU tokens, not in fiat money. The fiat
Okay.
money is going to come in from the users, and that's going to go to the protocol to create a treasury that is going to go and use that treasury to buy 50% of the treasury. It's going to go buy WAYRU out of the market and create an LP with USDC, so we have our own protocol, own liquidity. We will earn from that, and 10 years from now, we'll have a huge treasury that is backing our own protocol while it continues to grow. The more it grows, the more it's backed by itself. Yeah,
Love
so
it.
it's kind of clever.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So
thanks.
let's run back to Latin America. We know why you chose it. You're from Ecuador. Um,
Yeah.
and when I'm thinking of what is it, El Salvador, I was just doing some research on them. 70% of their people are unbanked. Is this a similar situation in Ecuador or many Latin American countries, like
Yes,
unbanked,
it's
uninternet, right?
Yeah, and that's huge because them being unbanked is due to various reasons. It's
Mhm.
due to lack of connectivity. It's due to lack of services from these banks.
Yep.
Because they are low income folks. They just can't access or tap into these basic services that we all
Yes.
have access
Yes.
to today. So us bringing connectivity to them using blockchain technology can help all these unbanked people to jump over the banks and go directly to crypto, just
Yep.
like these
Like
people did
AlgoFi or
with
something. Mhm.
right, just like they did with landline phones. People in low income communities never had landline phones,
Nope.
and and they never got the adoption into that technology. They just jumped over that and went directly to cell phones.
Facts.
So it's
Yeah.
the same thing that is going to happen with all these unbanked people. Like right now, banks are losing power because crypto is growing, and it's going to continue to grow. And these people are going to be able to actually access financial services thanks to the blockchain.
Yes.
And the first step, and I listen to this a lot. Like I've been to some conference this
Yep.
past week, and everybody says our platform solves this huge problem. The only thing they need is
It's the internet.
internet connectivity. And I'm like, yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds
Yeah.
great, right? Yeah, your
Yeah.
project is amazing, but let's think about what you're building. Whatever you're building makes half sense if half of the population is not connected today.
Bro, I
Today,
agree.
one out of two people alive don't have internet access. That's 50% of the population. For everybody listening today, think about that for one
Well, we
second.
got about
Just
8
imagine
billion. Yeah.
yeah, we got about 8 billion people, and there's 4 billion without connectivity today. In Latin America alone, there's 400 million people that lack reliable internet services. So there's a
That's
huge
crazy.
potential. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, because you know, like I'm happy you made the point about like all these other projects talking about what they're solving, but y'all project, WAYRU is solving that infrastructure layer of exactly what they need. For one, I see it too. Internet and smartphones is first on the list before you get to blockchain. And so I do
Right.
really think this project is amazing because of that thing there. As I talk to like my people out in Nigeria, I talk to a lot of Nigerian people or people out on the continent. They need the same product. They need the smartphone and they need cheap, decentralized internet. My question is, I know this is deeper in the future. When can WAYRU scale up to bring in some of my African brothers over there as well?
So we're focusing in Latin America today,
Yes.
and we will open up micro nodes to anybody in the world. So if somebody has a connection in Nigeria, for example, they will be able to share that connection and make an earning in WAYRU tokens by doing so. So they would just need to, and these are the micro nodes, and we can get into
Yes.
nodes into
Yeah.
in a
Let's do
bit.
that next.
But these
Yep.
are these are this is one of the types of micronodes that these are going to be available anywhere in the world. But for blog nodes and link nodes, which are more focused to grow organically, depending on each country that we are entering, to focus on these low income communities, that's going to probably take a little longer. So we're probably going to focus in Latin America for year 1 or 2. I mean, 22 and 2022 and 2023,
Yep.
and then after that we can expand to other regions. There is such a huge need in Latin America that we don't want to lose the focus of trying to become strong here so that then we can go and replicate in other regions. If it works here in Latin America, it's going to work in Africa, it's going to
Smart.
work in,
Yep.
in some parts of Asia, and most definitely it's going to work in some parts of the states as well.
Yeah.
Even yeah, it might be sound of, as a surprise, but maybe more than half of the people that have registered to become node operators to provide connectivity for a community or for a small neighborhood
Yep.
are coming from the US. They're
Oh
not even
wow.
coming from Latin America. Yeah, they're coming from the US.
Wow.
They're
I didn't
saying,
expect that.
yeah,
What
they're
what are
coming
some
from the US.
region what are some region areas and cities that you guys are, got the people submitting applications for?
Well, I will have to pull that information up because we've gotten like hundreds, almost 1,000 people
Yeah.
registered today, but those are mostly from rural America,
Yeah.
and
Makes sense.
some of them are not from rural America. They are from actually from big cities,
Like Detroit?
because in big cities like Detroit, for example,
Yeah.
and there's always communities around downtown that are left in the dark and don't have the best internet services. And if they do, it's still super expensive. So
Yep.
if a community of 10,000 people outside a big city, they live in a small neighborhood, they can build their own network, and they won't rely on any centralized big telco to bring them connectivity and to charge them whatever they want,
Yeah.
or for them to wait for the government to start deploying these community-owned networks, which I also think is a great solution, that governments come together and try to solve this problem for their citizens. And I think WAYRU can be a great help on that, because these municipalities, instead of just spending the money on laying the infrastructure, they can do it through WAYRU, so that they actually get a return in crypto. So they don't just solve the connectivity problem for the citizens, but they're tapping into this
Potential.
evolving
Yeah.
technology, that which is crypto
Revenue
and
stream
blockchain.
too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I'm just like, yeah, I'm hyped with this too, because I'm passionate about having, the developing, I will say, developing economies rising up more, so we can have more voices and fairness and equality and all the things that Algorand is standing for. And it's a good pivot.
right.
Uh, for the audience, can you break down why y'all chose Algorand rather than Ethereum, rather than another blockchain? Like, what was the purpose and choices behind tapping into the Algorand Foundation or Algorand blockchain?
Yeah. So back when we were researching, we had a couple of other options on the
Mhm.
table. I'm not going to name them, but they were all
Yeah, don't.
fast, or they were either fast or secure or low gas fees. Not all of them were carbon negative,
Mhm.
and most definitely not all of them were pure proof of stake.
Yeah.
So we basically chose Algorand because there's no forking. So since we are bringing data back from the real world devices to the chain, we couldn't afford to have any type of duplicates there.
Yep.
And the speed uh, plus the security is
Mhm.
unparalleled. And if you add to that the transaction fees are extremely low, like sometimes I feel guilty when I use Algorand because I'm paying so little to do
Yeah.
so much. I'm like, I can't believe I just did this for like $1. Like, I
Yeah.
can't believe I just did this, right? And I mean $1 when we're doing a bunch of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
a transaction is so low that this is key for our ecosystem, because people are going to be tapping into the network using the Algorand blockchain. So we needed to have transactions that were very, 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 very low. So that's why we chose Algorand.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because it's like, how are you going to do a transaction if you're waiting 8 minutes, 10 minutes, and it costs you $30? Doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
All yeah,
When you click on your Facebook app, you want that to open as soon as possible, and you want the images and videos to load fast. If
facts.
you
Yes.
don't have that speed, it's not going to be it's just not viable to try to run telecommunication services and transactions through any other blockchain.
Facts. Let me share the screen real quick. I want to talk more
Sure.
about this here. Can you see the screen?
Yes, I can.
Hold on one second. Okay, there we are. Yeah, I want to talk about, because to bring these images up that are popping up on the screen here. Can you break down what are you doing in these video clips here? And then I asked,
Yes.
clearly you're in the field in real time, doing your work. Can you talk about that?
Yes, sure. So this is the first community where we deployed the first internet node, and the way we got connected with them was through a foundation called Kairos Foundation.
Yeah.
And Kairos Foundation is basically focusing on helping low or extremely low income communities to get the least that they need, um, like some infrastructure, access to education, access to financial services. So what we did, we talked to them, we partnered with them, and we got connected to some of the people inside of those communities. We explained to them the importance of having connectivity. They, of
Mhm.
course, were crazy about having connectivity. They just didn't
Yep.
have the chance before.
Yep.
So what we did, they opened up their doors so that we can use their roofs to set up the first antennas around town. So we talked to probably a couple hundred people. Out of those couple hundred, we chose the first 10 people that we're gonna have that we're gonna be hosting the antennas. So after we installed the antennas that you're gonna be able to see soon in one of the clips,
Oh, right
like
there.
that's the main tower where you can see there. That's Mrs. Gladys. She's one of our happiest community members
Yeah.
down there in Ecuador,
Yep.
and we set up the antennas on the roofs, and now they're called guardians of the network. So what they do, they spread the word throughout the community so that more people are signing up so that
Yep.
we can start expanding. So during May, we are going to deploy, we're going to start to deploy at least between 25 to 30 times more of what we have deployed now. Because before our token launch, which is going to be in August, we want to have as many networks as possible deployed, and as many people as possible connected to the internet, because actions speak louder than words, and we don't want to promise something. We want to come to an ICO with an actual functional product, with people using our product, people paying for a product. In some cases, they won't be paying; they will be watching ads to get online for free, because they're in even vulnerable situations where they can't even pay for that.
Can we stop there real quick? Can you go
Yeah.
deeper into that part right there? Because what you just said is that you're providing opportunity even more for people who don't even have the money. They can pay with their time and their viewing power. Let's talk about that a little bit more.
Yes. So we are partnering with a company from Colombia that they focus solely on providing ad spaces to companies that want to do or that have good social focus, right?
Yes.
So the idea is for these companies to invest in advertisement through our network, so that people that don't have a way to pay, they can create an account and they can get free quota by watching an ad or by completing a task. So in our application, they will have a space where they can either click to watch an ad on demand.
Yep.
After they do, they'll be rewarded with WAYRU tokens. In exchange, will be converted into Wi-Fi credits to be able to connect to the internet. So that's another utility for the WAYRU token, for people to actually get them for their for using their time in an interaction with a company that wants to reward them with WAYRU tokens, because WAYRU tokens is the way that they will be able to access the network. So that's very important, because some of the communities that we are reaching, even if we bring connectivity to their homes, sometimes they don't have a way to pay for it.
Yep.
And that's why Ads for Good came to life. You can read about this in our white paper. We have NFTs for good and we have Ads for Good, and we can get into the NFTs for good in a bit. So there's so much that we should cover, right?
Yeah, there's so much. Yeah. Let me pull the hold on, got it. See, let's talk a little bit about the token some more. Let me pull it up. Where did it go? Yeah, I wanna so I know, let me find it. There it is. So yeah, let's talk about the token. Where did I just had it up. Oh, white paper, okay. Oh, token paper, there we go.
Or you can go on the top. On the top, you can go to the token tab. On the menu, on the top of the page, go to token.
Even better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you break down the token? Like, so you said the launch is in August?
Yeah.
So we got August, and then is it going to be on like liquidity pools? Like, can you break down how can people get their hands on it?
Yeah. So we are going to be releasing information about where people are going to be able to get those in a bit, because since it's going to happen in August, we're just closing our seed round this week. Actually, we're almost filled up, and we will be working on the launch pads and the dexes where our token is going to be available in the next month. So I can't give you an answer today. Yeah, but we have been talking to some of them. We just talked to Algorand, and we're thinking that we're most likely going to do it on all the Algorand ecosystem dexes that are available out there.
Yep.
So we're probably going to be on more than one platform when we launch.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So about the token, we're gonna have 10 billion tokens. The reason of the amount is because people are going to be using this on a regular basis to access the network, because the token has a bunch of utilities, right? First of all, if you want to run an internet node, you need to stake WAYRU. So you need to lock up WAYRU against your node yourself to be able to become that node operator. Then we have stakers, which are people that own WAYRU, but they can't become a node operator. So what they do, they stake their WAYRU against a live node, so that that live node can become operational, and they can start getting rewards, and they will share the rewards. And then the final user is going to need WAYRU tokens to access the network. So, and the way we're doing this, since these are very, very low income communities, these people are going to go download our application. They're going to go and recharge their accounts with fiat money, with their local currency in any convenience store. And we will receive that notification that we already have that money secured, and automatically we will tap their accounts with whatever that amount is in WAYRU tokens. So they will be able to just see on their accounts, I have, let's say, $10, which is X amount of WAYRU tokens, and they can go and buy Wi-Fi credits with that. So they will hold WAYRU tokens, and we'll show the amount in dollars and WAYRU tokens, so that they know how much they have to spend. And that's how they'll spend, they'll access the network, by using WAYRU tokens. So there's lots of utility to the token.
So it's built-in utility. Okay, how much, like, how many tokens would, I know this would be a tough question, but how many tokens would it cost to like use the internet to watch a 5-minute video?
Yeah, so let's not talk about how many tokens. Let's talk about how much that will cost in fiat. So we are trying to bring the connectivity as low as 10 cents a day if you buy like a monthly pack, right? So we are trying to bring down the gigabyte price, like the data cap that the user will have. Let's say they have 1 gigabyte, they will pay 25 cents for that. So whatever that it's worth in WAYRU tokens is going to be what they have to use in WAYRU, the equivalent in that money. So we will price everything in local currency, because so it's going to be easier for them to understand. They'll see it in local currency, and they'll buy whatever amount they need to buy in local currency with the equivalent in WAYRU tokens to use on the network.
Makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's pivot over to what we said, the blocks, block nodes. Let me pull one up. I think it's the white paper.
So maybe you can go to the Airblock tab on the website, so I can talk about that a little bit. Those are the, go to the Airblocks. And okay, so what are Airblocks? Airblocks are a collection of 10,000 unique NFTs. These NFTs have been hand-drawn traits. We have over 234 traits. And the idea behind these NFTs is purely altruistic. Since we talked that these low-income communities don't have a way to deploy or pay for their own internet, all the proceeds from selling these NFT collections, you can see some of them right there. All the proceeds go directly to building networks for these low-income communities that can't pay for it. And we will allow them to take charge of those networks in the future, so that they can become their own, the owners of their own internet, and they don't have to rely on anybody else. And they will continue to use our protocols to run those networks. But people buying these Airblocks will be the ones helping them get a step further ahead with internet connectivity. Then there's utilities of becoming an Airblocker. Of course, you will have commercial rights over your NFT, so you will be able to print T-shirts, hats, like I have mine here, and then you'll be able to do merch and
oh yeah, I see you. Yeah, dope.
Thanks. Then also the idea is that every holder of a token, of an NFT, they will have a vote for governance spirits, because we will have some governance to make decisions on what is going to happen with those community deployed networks that we build with the proceeds of the Airblocks. Because on the secondary market, we will have royalties that are going to continue to come in from those NFTs. And that's not for the protocol. That's for that community. We're doing the NFTs solely on altruistic purposes and vision to help these communities thrive. So we won't get any revenues from this, or we won't get any profit for this. And all the royalties will go into a treasury, and the holders of the Airblocks are going to be the ones that vote on what's going to happen with those funds. You will also be have access to a tight community of visionaries that want to help out others, because by getting an Airblock, you're not signing up to go to a party or to get some free stuff. You are signing up to be part of a community that is actually helping solve one of the toughest problems that our generation is facing, which is lack of internet services. And they will also get a special benefit, which is a discount on our ICO. So
Okay.
Airblockers are people that are giving today. Instead of buying NFTs to earn, they're buying NFTs to give. And for that reason, we will reward them with a discount on our ICO, which is going to be released later on and privately on Airblockers chats, so that they can go and buy our tokens before anybody at a better price right
Yeah.
before the ICO. So
So
there's lots of benefits
Yeah.
for them, but it doesn't come directly from holding it. So it's it's not an asset that will generate you money or profits. It's going to give you some benefits in our ecosystem.
so more of utility and access within this ecosystem.
And think about this: if we manage to get 1 million people on board thanks to NFTs, right, and we get
Yep.
them on board WAYRU's network, that means that we are getting 1 million people onboarded to Algorand as well. So
Facts.
indirectly,
Yep.
if you are a holder of Algo or you're building on Algorand and you help a protocol like ours that is providing connectivity to people to onboard 1 million people to the internet through Algorand, that means the Algorand ecosystem is going to get more and more robust. We can
Yes.
become a huge pillar for Algorand to grow in Latin America.
Yes, agreed on that. Like smart, my man, smart. Let's slowly start to close out. I love it. A few questions I got. When and where can we buy Airblocks? Let's just start
All right.
there.
So Airblocks dropped. The first drop was last Friday, and it's sold out. And we will have last Friday is April 8th. I don't know when we are airing this. So
April
8th was the first one, and next Monday will be the second drop, which is
what's the date?
the 18th. The 18th.
Okay.
Monday.
We'll try to get this out
Monday,
there.
Monday,
4 days from
April
now.
18th. Yeah, 4 days is going to be the second drop. So you can go on the website and you'll see the release schedule there. So it might get adjusted depending on situations, but that's pretty much how we're going to be releasing. We're thinking about releasing. Go to the Airblocks again, and there's go down, and you'll see the roadmap.
Oh shit! This one.
Yeah, that one. Go below, down. It's a little more down, go down. Oh, so that's important. How the funds are distributed as well. Everything's public. Like everything's there. How we're going to use the money when we reach every X amount of money, we're going to do this. And also, Airblockers are going to have a special access to analytics on what is happening on the website. So we're working on that. That's going to be probably after we're on the mainnet, they'll be able to access that, but they will have a special access to see how far their help went.
Okay,
if you
nice.
bought one Airblock, okay, how much that it has helped until then and how much it continues to help down the road.
Okay.
And this is the release schedule. So we'll have the next release on Monday, the 18th. We're going to release 222, and we hope to sell out as well and continue to sell out every week. If we sell out within the first week, we will release the next drop the next week, and so on and so on.
Hey, nice. Okay. Thank you for that answer. So then moving forward, how can they tap in with you as well as your project? What social media sites? Name some places that they can find y'all.
All right. Yeah, of course. So you can find us on Twitter. That's probably the social media we use the most. We also have Facebook, Instagram, but we're not that active there. I think most of the people that we're targeting are on Twitter. We also have LinkedIn. We have Discord and Telegram. I recommend you guys to click on the link below somewhere where Will's gonna leave the link, so you guys can join all our social networks. You can always email us at hello@wayru.org. That's like the base email that anybody can reach. So we'll get that. Somebody will read it, and then we'll reach out to you. And yeah, you can just hit me up on Twitter. I'm always open to DMs. I love meeting people and telling them about what we're doing. Lots of people reach out because they want to help out with the project in some way. So if that's your case, please don't hesitate to reach out. And if you have just questions that you want to know more about the protocol, please join our Discord. We have a It's still a small but very active community. They ask a lot about what we're doing, what about where we're going, and how they can help. So please
Hey,
do follow us on those social medias and join our Telegram and Discord channels.
excellent, excellent. Okay, I love it. Final closeout. Show some love, spread some advice for other Algo fam or people building on Algorand. Can you give some love and say, you know, a little advice of how to get started if you are thinking about building a project, especially a project of this magnitude? That's like I would say more of an ESG, is environmental, social. This is a social project. So can you give some advice to someone who is also building a nice social project that will provide impact? What would you say?
Yeah, I would say whenever you're building a project, the first step is that that project needs to be solving a problem. I
Hmm.
see so many projects that they look nice, they sound nice, they're fun, but if they're not fixing something for somebody somewhere, it's not going to last. And it's going to be hard for the entrepreneurs because they love their idea, they love their projects, but when they realize that their project is not solving a problem, it's too late. And I can speak for experience. Um, that's one. Then once you find that one problem, right? You need to focus on that one problem. I also see people trying to become entrepreneurs and they have two, three, four side gigs at the same time, trying to see what
Yep.
what kicks, and that's okay. Like people can do that, but my advice is find a problem, stick to that problem. The solution can change 1,000 times, but uh, but the execution is
Mm,
what counts. Ideas, there are many ideas. People have ideas all day long, everywhere in
yep.
the world. If you don't act on it, ideas don't matter. So
Facts.
that would be my. Then the other thing that I would say for founders, always talk to your community. Talk to your community. Be present. Be in the front line. I have been talking to so many people in the past week since the first drop, and people were asking me like, "How are you working at the same time that you're doing all this?" I'm like, this is my job.
Yeah,
Like
this is what I
this
do.
is
Yeah.
this is what I do. Like I have to be in the front line leading my team. Like I
Facts.
can't be hiding behind and leaving somebody else fix like if there's a problem, founders have to be out there saying, "Okay, we messed up. We're gonna fix it." Or we didn't mess up. It's just a misunderstanding. This is how it's actually going on. Just speak up. If
Yep.
you appear in front of a camera and you tell people what's happening, people are going to be fine with whatever's happening because
Facts.
you are taking responsibility. So that's an advice for founders, and an advice for the community: be patient. Be patient with it's hard. It's really hard to be an entrepreneur.
Yep.
It's extremely hard to be a successful entrepreneur. So whenever things go south, and it's not because the project rugged, it's just because sometimes things happen. The
Mhm.
community needs to show support to those founders so that those founders can get up and get up stronger than before. And that's the main reason of being in Web3. Because
Yep.
if I'm a Web3 founder and I don't have my community backing me and helping me if I mess up and cheering me when I'm doing good, then what's the point of building a
Yeah.
Web3 project? It's just better if you build a Web2 project and nobody can give you any hard times because
Yep.
they don't own any piece of that, right?
Yeah.
But when it's a Web3, people own part of it, and they should not just own a piece of it. They should actually own it
Yeah.
and understand
Yep.
that they are part of it going good or it going bad. And yeah, be patient with founders. Reach out to them. Sometimes founders go to founders are people. We're people.
They
We have
have
same
lives and
same needs,
family.
right?
Yeah.
They have
Yep.
they have lives. They have good times. They have bad times. So yeah,
Yes.
that's a couple of advices in various areas. So hopefully that
Yep.
helps whoever's listening
Oh,
and tuning
hey,
in.
that was some
Thanks a lot for
some
the
real and
invitation.
honest. Oh, yes. Yes, real and honest advice. And man, it's a pleasure. We'll definitely be tapping in. So I'm gonna pull you out, do my closeout, and then stay around so we can chat.
All right. See you soon, everybody.
Yes.
Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Hey y'all, so that was some fire, Charvel from WAYRU. I love what they're doing. It's a real project that has solving a problem, as you heard. So stick to your problem for you founders. Make sure that you stay down and make sure as a community member that you tap in. All right. I'm going to put all of the links in the description so y'all can go follow, keep up with this project, maybe get you an air block and things of that nature. And best believe we'll be following this project and giving updates as it goes. Thanks for tapping in. See Will with the Passive Income Network. I am gone. Passive income, passive income, passive income. Gold in my dental, thank God for my mental. Investor fundamentals, told my girl it was simple. We getting all this money to purchase rentals and get passive income, passive income, passive income. Gold in my dental, thank God for my mental. Investor fundamentals, told my girl it was simple. We getting all this money to purchase rentals.